The wind swept across the dusty fairgrounds, carrying with it the scent of gunpowder, hay, and pride. A crowd had gathered around the shooting range, their voices full of excitement and arrogance as the town's finest marksmen flaunted their skills. Each bullet that hit its target brought applause, laughter, and boasts that echoed across the prairie. Yet, hidden in the shadow of the wooden stalls stood a woman who seemed out of place. She wore a faded dress patched at the knees, her boots scuffed from years of farm work, and her hair tied back in a plain braid. Her name was Mary, a quiet woman who rarely spoke, the kind of figure people often overlooked. But today, she was noticed, not with respect, but with ridicule. The sharpshooters, polished and proud in their tailored vests and gleaming boots, spotted her standing nearby and mocked her presence. A farmhand's wife among shooters. They sneered. Their laughter was sharp, cruel, and it stung deeper than any bullet wound. Mary lowered her eyes, her cheeks burning, but in her silence, a storm was gathering. Right finger if you believe in English story, second chances, and the power of standing strong. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, English Story. Your support helps us keep bringing powerful, emotional stories like this to life. Mary had never sought the spotlight. She was known in town only as the widow who worked her land alone after her husband's passing, carrying burdens heavier than most men dared to lift. From sunrise to sunset, she toiled in the fields, planting, harvesting, and tending to livestock. Her hands were rough, her shoulders sore, but her spirit had not been broken. What few knew was that Mary's late husband had taught her to shoot, not for sport but for survival. Coyotes and wolves prowled near their land, and she had learned to protect what little they had. She hadn't held a rifle in months, but the memory of his steady voice, guiding her hands, never left her. When the sharpshooters called her forward, it was not out of invitation but mockery. "Show us, farm woman," they jeered. "Let's see if you can even lift the rifle, let alone aim it." Their words sent ripples of laughter through the crowd. Some people looked away, embarrassed by the cruelty, but no one stepped forward to defend her. Mary hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest, her husband's memory flashing in her mind. She could have walked away, endured the humiliation quietly as she always had. But something inside her refused to bend this time. She stepped forward, her boots crunching against the dirt, her hands reaching for the rifle that lay gleaming in the sun. The crowd went silent for a moment, curious now, before breaking into murmurs and chuckles. The rifle felt heavy at first, but her grip was sure. The world around her seemed to blur, and all she could hear was the steady rhythm of her breath. The target was far, almost impossibly small, a bottle balanced on a fence post at the edge of the range. The sharpshooters had taken turns missing it, brushing it off as too far, and not worth the shot. Mary raised the rifle, her fingers curling around the trigger, her eyes narrowing as she remembered her husband's words. "Don't look at the whole world, just look at your mark." The sun glared overhead, dust swirled in the air, and the laughter of the men behind her grew louder. But then, silence. A single shot cracked through the stillness, echoing across the prairie like a thunderclap. The bottle shattered into 1,000 pieces, glass glittering in the sunlight as it fell to the dirt. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. The crowd stood frozen, their mouths half open, their eyes wide with disbelief. The same men who had laughed now stood pale and silent, their arrogance shattered. Just as easily as the bottle. Mary lowered the rifle slowly, her hands steady, her eyes calm. She didn't gloat, didn't smile. She simply placed the rifle back on the table and walked away. Her steps were quiet, but her presence thundered louder than any boast the sharpshooters had ever made. That day, the woman they mocked became the woman no one dared underestimate again. Word spread quickly through the town, from the saloon to the church pews, from the market to the schoolhouse. People spoke not of the sharpshooter's pride, but of the simple woman who had silenced them with a single shot. Mary became more than just the widow who worked her land, she became a symbol of resilience, of quiet strength, of dignity that didn't need applause to be powerful. She reminded everyone that greatness doesn't always wear fine clothes or boast loudly. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to English Story. Your support means more than words can express, and it helps us continue sharing inspiring, emotional stories with the world. Special request. Before you leave, comment below, what part of Mary's story inspired you the most?